The idea. I wanted to see if I could leave the house with no bags at all. Just a camera in my pocket. So, the smallest camera that I have is the X-M5, and the smallest lens that I have is the XF 23mm f2.8. So this is exactly the setup that I took out, and I used it like a travel camera. I was reading through the comments on my YouTube channel when I came across this one from Guy R. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, but Guy R6G, saying the XM5 and Fuji 23mm f2.8 or Voigtlander 18mm 27 fit in the back pocket of my jeans. I have just a wrist strap though, no neck strap. Perhaps Prisloom will do a video with it and the 23mm. I haven't seen one on YouTube yet. And that got me thinking, because now that the XF 23mm f2.8 is available to buy on its own since December 2025, this is a setup that actually makes a lot of sense. So I said to myself, no problem, Guy, I got you. Actually, you know what? I'll do you one better. Let's see how well this works as a travel camera. So without wasting time, I grabbed my XM5 and mounted the XF 23mm f2.8 and headed out. Chapter 1. Before anything else, this whole video really comes down to one idea. Leaving the house or wherever you're staying on holiday without carrying a bag. Because I've been on trips where I had to carry bags all the time and they are annoying, right? You need to figure out where to leave them, holding you back or like holding you down. So here's what it's going to be. Just a camera, the lens, and that's it. Now, before we go ahead, we need to see if it actually fits in some of the clothing that I have. This setup easily fits in my jacket pocket for my puffer jacket. It also fits nicely in one of my coats. It also fits at the back of my chinos that I'm wearing. So size-wise, it's roughly the same as my wallet, phone, stacked on top of each other. Maybe it's a little bit taller, but if you add your keys or anything else like that, it does add up to the same height. And for travel, that basically changes how you move. You're not planning around your gear. You're not thinking about where to put your bag when you're out and about, where you want to keep it at the restaurant. You just grab the camera and go. And I think that keeps you safer as well because you're not driving attention to you. Chapter 2. Handling and Ergonomics. First, let's talk about the size and weight. The XF 23mm f2.8 weighs 90 grams, and the Fujifilm X-M5 itself weighs 355 grams. Together, it's a very light setup. And honestly, that's the biggest selling point here. You can carry it all day without even noticing it. It doesn't pull on your shoulder, it doesn't feel bulky, it doesn't feel like you're carrying gear. This is the kind of camera setup you take with you even when you're not planning to shoot. The balance is also really good. Because the lens is not heavy at all, the camera doesn't feel front heavy like as you would feel with lenses, maybe like zoom lenses that you got from Fujifilm. I do have an L-mount grip from Small Rig fitted to my X-M5 just to give that little bit extra to hold on to. That extra grip actually makes a big difference, especially when you're shooting one-handed. I also use the Peak Design wrist strap most of the time, and that combination felt really secure, to be fair. Even when I was shooting one-handed, it felt stable. This matters a lot for traveling because you're often shooting quickly in between walks, at crossroads, maybe in front of a shop, or when you stop briefly just to grab that picture. The camera itself never felt awkward to handle. Chapter 3. Performance. Now, the 23mm focal length. If you've not seen it, there's a video there. Please go and watch it. I've said this before, and it's not my go-to lens. On APS-C, 35mm is my sweet spot usually, and that's the focal length I naturally gravitate towards. 23mm is wider than I would usually like, and because of that, I actually found myself having to step closer to my subject and not further as I'm usually used to. At times, it felt too wide for how I normally frame things and compose my shots, and I had to be more conscious about what I wanted to include in the frames to get the shots I wanted. Not that that's a flaw with the lens itself, it's just the focal length reference, really. Now, if you're used to 35mm on APS-C, you'll notice it straight away. That said, for travel, I can see why people like it. It gives you the flexibility, especially when your space is limited. Right? You're going on holiday, sometimes you don't have a wide area, you want to take things in small, cramped places. That's available. The autofocus on this lens is quick and responsive. It's nothing fancy or special, it just really works, and it works really well. So for photos, it locks on quickly and it keeps up without any issues. Face detection, I had it on most of the time and it was very reliable. And for general walk-arounds shooting, it did exactly what I needed it to do. One thing I didn't have any issues with was how reliable the autofocus was, because everyone blames Fujifilm autofocus, but this was fine. There was no hunting, no misfocus, and for walk-around shooting, it stayed consistent and never got in the way. So from a performance point of view, autofocus itself was not a problem. One thing I do have to mention though is the autofocus noise. I did mention that before when I did the review for the X-M5, but I'll mention it again. This lens is not a quiet lens. It does have its choo 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 choo. You can clearly hear that motor when it's focusing, and that's pretty common with small pancake lenses like these ones, right? For photos, it's not an issue because you're not going to hear anything. But for videos, it depends how you're shooting. So if you got a mic sitting on top of the camera or you're using the camera as microphone, then you will definitely pick up on the motor going back and forth. But if you're filming B-roll or anything without talking, it's completely fine. Or if you're going to be filming and then doing a voiceover or just putting music to it later, you're absolutely fine. So for video with live audio, that's something to keep in mind. Chapter 4, image quality. The image quality is solid. I never had any issues with the X-Trans4 sensor, and the colors look really good straight out of the camera. Files are also very easy to work with because you're now running with a 26 megapixel sensor. Sharpness is more than enough for a lens this size. For travel photos, streets, buildings, details, everyday moments, I had no complaints. Obviously, I wasn't pixel peeping and I wasn't chasing numbers either. Chapter 5, Battery and Practical Use. Seeing as we're not taking a bag with us, battery life is an issue because battery life on this camera is not great. The X-M5 still uses the NP-W126 batteries. So when I went out for a walk, by the time I was heading back, I was already under 20% battery. And that's just from casual shooting. I didn't take hundreds and hundreds of photos. And I have the tendency of keeping my camera on while I walk around so that I can take a shot whenever I need to. So no, this is definitely not going to be one of these one battery all-day camera. For proper travel day, you will need at least 2 to 3 batteries. But the good thing is those batteries are small. Even if we're not taking bags, we can still fit those in a case and put them in our pocket very easily. And that still fits with the whole idea here, keeping things light, keeping things simple. Another thing worth mentioning is how discreet this setup is. I mean, the camera is small, the lens is small. So you don't draw attention to yourself when you're public. Maybe you're someone who likes doing street. You can leave the house, walk around all day and never feel like you're carrying camera gear. Chapter 6, Alternatives. It's worth mentioning that this isn't the only pancake lens option out there. You've got lenses like the XF27mm f2.8 and cheaper options like the TT Artisan 27mm f2.8. Size-wise, they're all in a similar ballpark. So overall, no bag setup idea still applies. That said, I can't really comment on those lenses because 1, I've never tried them, 2, I don't own them either. So it wouldn't be unfair for me to speak about them because even though they might be the same size and approximately the same weight, I can't speak about the image quality or how they compare. So I'm just talking about this lens on this camera based on my own use. Chapter 7, who is this for? So, who is this actually for? You know what? It makes a lot of sense for influencers and content creators who want something better than their phone without carrying a full camera bag. It's also great for vlogging. I mean, maybe not moving because there's no IBIS on there, but it's easy to take on walks, city strolls, casual travel days, or casual days when you're not planning a shoot. And if you're someone who mainly shoots on your phone and wants to upgrade your Instagram content, this feels like a natural step. If you want all-day battery life, silent autofocus for videos, or a tighter focal length, by default, this might not be the setup for you. I mean, the camera could still be. You could choose a different lens that works more with your focal length. Chapter 8, Final Verdict and Closing. So the main question is, does the X-M5 with the XF23 f2.8 work as a travel camera? Honestly, it does. Even though it's not my preferred focal length, it still allowed me to take some nice photos. The whole setup is small, it's light, and it's simple. And that's kind of the point. So if you're thinking about this setup, hopefully this gives you a realistic idea of what to expect. And honestly, a lot of my videos start the same way. This one did, by reading comments. I genuinely enjoy going through them, and if I see something that takes my fancy, there's a good chance that you'll see a video about it. So, if there's anything you'd like me to cover, or any setup that you're curious about that I have access to, do let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra!